Animal Welfare Committee to order. And let's start with item number 1.
Item number 1, Personnel Department report relative to the Consolidated Reasonable Accommodation Report for the second quarter of fiscal year 2014-15.
Good afternoon. Olivia Flores, Personnel Department. Our quarterly report is for the second quarter of the fiscal year 14-15. The report describes the city's reasonable accommodation efforts to accommodate employees with temporary and permanent work restrictions due to industrial and non-industrial injuries or illnesses. What we're looking for, obviously, is to have an increase in IOD savings and a decrease in IOD spending so that we have more employees back to work.
Any trends that you see that would be of interest to us? Anything problematic?
Not based on the current quarter. It seems pretty standard from the previous quarters. Nothing different.
Anything personnel does to work with the departments to try and prevent injuries?
Basically, we do have a safety group in the personnel department that works with the other safety administrators throughout the various departments to ensure that and assist in technical expertise as far as implementing various safety programs throughout the city. It is a very small group of individuals, but nevertheless we do work with departments on maintaining a vibrant safety program within their own departments.
Any interesting trends there? Are we finding anything that is reducing injuries to any significant degree?
Well, I think with regards to this particular area of the report, we certainly continue to work with departments as far as safety, but I think the other area that we need to really work on is identifying employees who are injured, can contribute to the city and be able to identify some opportunities to reasonably accommodate them within their current position while they heal. That's something that we currently are definitely focusing on.
Anything we can do to help make that happen as a committee?
I'm sure there probably are some efforts that we can coordinate with your office and this committee, and we'd be more than happy to kind of come back with some ideas and thoughts on that.
That would be great, because we'd certainly like to help move in that direction. So,
okay.
If there are funding needs or other things in that arena, if you can let us know, that would be great.
Okay.
Mr. O'Farrell, anything?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, in that case, without objection, we will note and file that report. And I think we're going to hear item 2, 3, and 4 together, if we might.
Item number 2, Board of Animal Services Commissioners report relative to requesting utilize salary savings to purchase animal management software upgrades. Item 3 is an adopted budget recommendation relative to instructing the Department of Animal Services to work with the Information Technology Agency, the Office of Finance, and the CAO to determine whether the Chameleon data management system with upgrades will be sufficient for the Department of Animal Services needs, and report back to the committee and also ITGS. Item number 4 is an additional adopted budget recommendation relative to instructing the Department of Animal Services to report on the mobile data computer program to determine the required resources, level of funding, and potential cost benefit of the program.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Dana Brown, Department of Animal Services. And the Department of Animal Services currently uses a software called Chameleon as its data management system. Now, Chameleon manages and tracks all of the animal shelter data, things like intake, outcomes, adoptions, inventory, spay, neuter, all kinds of key information that is necessary for us to operate efficiently. There are new modules and additional upgrades currently available for Chameleon that would result in cost-effective work efficiencies, particularly in the area of online licensing and renewals. It's also important to note that Chameleon is the industry standard software that is used in municipalities across the United States, and is adequate with the recommended updates to meet the needs of the Los Angeles Department of Animal Services. Now, during the current fiscal year, the department realized nearly $1 million in salary savings, and this is largely due to the inability to fill 7 animal control officer positions in the current fiscal year. So looking at the surplus in funds and balancing it against the needs of the department, in close consultation with the CAO's office, has requested that $536,000 be identified from the current fiscal year's salary savings and be reappropriated to fund this project. The year-end FSR does reflect a CAO instruction to identify those funds in support of the project. The project is threefold. So first, the first element of the project involves the building of a data bridge that connects the Wells Fargo lockbox to Chameleon. Currently, the license renewals and payments are routed to Wells Fargo in this secure lockbox, and the data is retrieved by Wells Fargo and scanned into a system where then Animal Services clerks access the information and then manually transfer it into Chameleon. So this process obviously is time-consuming and is also prone to human error. The data bridge would allow the necessary information to be directly transferred into Chameleon, alleviating the need for any manual input by our clerks. The cost of this element has been a fluid estimation. There are new expenses that are being uncovered as we continue to work with our Wells Fargo partners. It has been confirmed, however, that the process can be safely and efficiently done, and the current cost is estimated at $86,500. The second fold of the process is related to the online licensing portal. Currently, the department uses a customized portal to process online licensing. At the time that the portal was created, it offered a more customized, flexible option for online licensing. But since then, the in-house IT staff that created the project has moved on, and there's now no adequate technical support available to keep the portal updated and useful for our needs. Now, since we created our own portal, Chameleon has greatly improved their online licensing portal, and it now will allow data license renewals to be renewed or purchased through the portal and then electronically transferred into our system overnight. So that also relieves the need to have clerks manually input the information. The cost for this upgrade is set at $20,750, and that is a definite cost that has to do with the cost of having the module. The final phase of the project is related to the purchase and deployment of mobile devices in the field. It is our intention to provide increased communication and immediate access to necessary information for officers to improve response times, officer safety, and overall efficiency. At the request and the direction of the Budget and Finance Committee, the department will report back to this committee relative to the required resources, level of funding, and the potential cost and benefits of the program. We have been working very closely with the CAO's office to identify specific areas for which we will conduct additional resources and be prepared to report back to this committee in 60 days. As I stated, the year-end FSR does identify $536,000 for this project. At this time, we would like to amend our recommendation number 2 of our report and ask that the committee transfer $107,220 to reflect only the first 2 phases of the project, with the remainder of the fund held in abeyance pending our report back to this committee.
Okay, and do you have a ballpark of what you think the rest of it will wind up costing?
Well, based on the information that we have conducted thus far, we were looking in the neighborhood of $17,000 to $20,000 if we are using iPhones or smartphones, because Chameleon has an application that appears would work for our needs. But the CAO's office was concerned a little bit about additional testing and some other things that we can look into to be certain that going the $17,000 route versus mobile laptops or anything like that is the best route.
So potentially this could cost a lot less than what we were thinking, because we were talking about over $500,000, and this would be under $150,000 give or take a few bucks, it sounds like.
Yes, sir. And I think that part of the concern is that, you want to make sure that the deal of the century is in fact the deal of the century. So we want to make sure that it's going to meet all the needs and satisfy all the concerns of the CAO.
And did you check out other cities that have done either the handheld computer method or the handheld iPhone method? Have both those been done by other cities?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the Chameleon app is fairly new and has been tested in Orange County, and they have found success with it. It's very useful for them. And so it's fairly new, but has been tested in those areas. As far as Chameleon overall is concerned, it is absolutely the industry standard in municipalities that have large shelter, multi-shelters like ours. And in fact, during our research, we have talked to agencies that have used other systems, including Chameleon. There are about 3 other systems out there that are, if you look at everybody, it's one of these 3. We've even talked to agencies that use all 3, and they also recommend Chameleon with its upgrades.
So Chameleon is the more popular and well-recommended software at this point.
Yes, sir, for an agency this size, absolutely.
Mr. O'Farrell, any questions?
This is good. So once we figure out the mobile device purchase, and a little later down the line, so that combined with the Data Bridge software and the online licensing portal, do you anticipate that being it for a while until there's another sort of technological breakthrough of some type that we haven't anticipated yet? Or do you see something, is there a next step after that in the coming few years?
Now, this is, unfortunately, our IT manager couldn't be here with us today. Although she was very willing, she's getting married in a few days, and she was very willing to come in, which we
Tell her to get her priorities straight.
Exactly.
That's no excuse.
So, but, as it relates to just, products, they are always going to have something even better. But whether or not whatever the even better is going to be something that's compatible with our operation, it just sort of depends. However, once we do the updates, it comes with periodic updates that we pay for with the licensing program.
Okay.
Yeah, through our licensing. So that's something that we keep up to date.
Ms. Brown, you mentioned it's the industry standard. So are we talking dozens of other municipalities, hundreds?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. So major cities across the U.S. essentially.
Absolutely, ones that have multi-agencies. So there are some municipalities that are smaller, but they have multiple shelters. So we're trying to compare those agencies that take care of a number of shelters the way that we do.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
And will this free up some of our clerks in the animal shelters to do other things?
Yes, it will. It will free them up in order to do some of the other things that we have had to use periodic as needed staff and that sort of thing for. So we will be able to sort of rally that in and have them do some other things that we need to have done, and that will make our process much more efficient.
Well, this sounds very positive. Sounds good to me. We'll get a little input from the public first before we vote on this. Since we're hearing these all together, we have one speaker, Phyllis Doherty. Phyllis, maybe you can speak on both 2 and 3 together.
Yeah, they sort of link together. Phyllis Doherty with Animal Leashes Movement. Chameleon is the only system that's used across the country for large animal shelters. Any other systems are used for some of the smaller humane societies, but there are a lot of special aspects. The security of the data is one of the most important things. Just like Avid is the only company that absolutely keeps the data secure for microchipping. In no way are they connected to any sales or any other companies, whereas the one for the city now does connect to a data collection agency that sells health insurance and all of these things. So that way then once the person has clicked on that, they're not secure anymore. So Avid and Chameleon have been the pioneers in keeping animal control agencies operating properly, keeping their data safe, keeping track of the law enforcement aspect, because you have all of that these other nice little humane society things, they give it to you free, but what they get in return is a nice collection of email and information that can be sold. So Chameleon is foolproof. They've updated many times. We're the ones that were behind on Chameleon, not Chameleon. They have been keeping updated, and that's been offered and been available. So it's wonderful that this is happening now, and in time for the administrative citations also. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And since Ms. Doherty brought that up, maybe I can ask a quick follow-up question about how this fits in with the ACE program that we're just starting up.
Hi, Brenda Barnett, General Manager, Animal Services. The ACE citation program is being rolled out this week in one of our shelters, and then it will, once it's tested, it'll be rolled throughout the city. And I think the big piece with the ACE citation is the person will get the citation, and if it's for something like a license or an unaltered dog, they will have a certain number of days to get their dog license or get the dog altered if they don't want to have to pay the $100, $250, or $500 or $1,000 fine. And so it will be tracked through Chameleon, through the officer citations that they give to the person. And that'll all be tracked through Chameleon.
So past violations, other things like that will be tracked through Chameleon.
Past violations will show up on the address of that person.
Very good. And I think as Phyllis explained it, it sounds like Chameleon is a good system, but we haven't done a great job of keeping up, so now we have the money to do it in the budget, and much to my surprise, a little less than we thought it would cost, so that's an extra plus.
Well, it was very interesting. Our IT supervisor was at a Chameleon HLP conference, and when she came back, we were going forward with the plan for the tough books and the computers, and she came back with the new information that Orange County had been testing this app for a year. And if you remember, Councilmember Blumenfeld asked us about an app at the budget hearing, and we didn't know about it until Derek came back from the trip.
Well, that's all good news. So without objection, I would ask that we support the first two items and hold the second one in committee pending a report on the costs and all the steps that we need to move forward with that. Without objection, that is, those three items have passed in that form.
Chair, on item 4, are we holding that also in committee?
Yes, that item 4 is the one we're holding at committee.
2 will be as amended, correct?
Yes. And lastly, we have one member of the public under public comment, Phyllis Doherty. This would be a boring meeting otherwise.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Phyllis Doherty with Animal Issues Movement. I want you to know, if you haven't heard, that the lawsuit was decided regarding the ability to put unlimited dogs, as long as they're shelter dogs, next door to any business in the city. And the judge decided, as we had contended, and I told Mr. Hirsch that was illegal, that it has to go through the process. If you're going to do that, you have to go through the public hearings and so forth. So thank goodness the small businesses in this city have been saved again, because I don't know why no one thought, Mr. Koretz, especially you who are so concerned about small business owners, about the fact that your 40-year-old bakery or restaurant or whatever cannot survive next to a location that has up to 100 adult dogs in an area not even prepared for that. We had one set up, and I should suggest you drive by at 19855 Ventura Boulevard. The dogs are out barking so loudly, running against the fences so that people cannot even stand at the bus stop in peace. We went early in the morning. as part of the evidence that we submitted to the judge, and they were washing the raw sewage out of the dog kennels across the alley that was heavily traveled and into the storm drain. There are no provisions to stop this. That's what the CUP is for, is to protect everyone. And it's important, that especially these businesses. I mean, it was heartbreaking to think that people with businesses that they're struggling for already could be put out just like that, by the barking, by the noise, by the sanitation. And it's also not good for the animals. There are no systems in these buildings other than shelters that would provide the right, or veterinary clinics that provide the right air circulation. So I'm glad this is gone. I'm glad it was decided, and I hope that you will allow people to go through the normal and city policy, which the CUP, and everybody can be safe.
Thank you. And without further business, we are adjourned.